The Galactic Council chamber erupted in what could only be described as the intergalactic equivalent of snickering. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood at the podium, her modest human frame dwarfed by the towering representatives of a dozen alien civilizations. The crystalline Zephyrians tinkled with amusement, their translucent bodies refracting light in patterns that conveyed their mirth. The insectoid Kythera clicked their mandibles in rhythmic mockery, while the gas-based Nebulons pulsed with colors that clearly indicated derision. The humans, wheezed High Chancellor Vorth of the Drakmari Empire, his 6 arms gesticulating wildly, want to mediate the Outer Rim conflict? These children who have barely crawled out of their single star system? Elena maintained her composure, though her knuckles whitened as she gripped the podium. Behind her, the small human delegation sat quietly. 5 unremarkable individuals, in simple uniforms, their faces betraying nothing. Honored representatives, Elena continued, her voice steady despite the mockery. Humanity offers our services as neutral mediators because we understand conflict. We've learned the cost of war, and more importantly, we've learned the value of peace. This only intensified the laughter. The serpentine Ambassador Sixtal of the Venom Worlds raised her massive cobra-like hood. What could a species that hasn't even mastered faster than light travel possibly understand about galactic warfare? Your people fight with projectile, weapons, and chemical explosives. Primitive, hissed the Kythera delegate. Barbaric, chimed in a Zephyrian. The Drakmari High Chancellor leaned forward, his predatory smile revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Tell me, little human, what exactly makes you think your species is qualified to mediate a conflict between civilizations that have been waging war since before your son was born? Elena took a breath. She had expected this reaction, had prepared for it. But preparation and experience were different things entirely. The weight of representing her entire species in this moment pressed down on her shoulders like a collapsing star. Because, she said quietly, we're the only species here that's never lost a war. The laughter stopped. The chamber fell into absolute silence, broken only by the gentle hum of the artificial atmosphere processors. Every eye, sensor, and perception organ in the room focused on the human delegation with newfound attention. High Chancellor Vorth's amusement faded. Surely you jest. Your species has been at war constantly throughout your recorded history. With ourselves, yes, Elena acknowledged, but never with another species. And in our brief time among the stars, every conflict we've been drawn into has ended the same way. The nebular delegate, Ambassador Mist of Distant Stars, shifted uncomfortably, their gaseous form darkening. You speak of the Centauri incident. And the Proxima Rebellion, added Elena. The asteroid mining dispute, the Titan corporate wars. Each conflict she named caused another representative to grow more uneasy. These had been minor skirmishes in galactic terms, small conflicts that barely registered on the Council's radar. Border disputes, trade disagreements, colonial rebellions, the kind of small wars that the major powers typically ignored. But those were insignificant conflicts, protested the Kythera delegate. Regional disputes. Exactly, Elena smiled, and something in that smile made several of the alien representatives lean back in their seats. Small conflicts, the kind you don't pay attention to, the kind where the major powers don't get involved, the kind where it's just humans and whoever decided to pick a fight with humans. She gestured to the 5 individuals sitting behind her. For the first time, the gathered aliens really looked at them. They seemed so ordinary, so unremarkable. But now in the context of Elena's words, their stillness took on a different quality. They weren't nervous or intimidated. They were simply waiting. You see, Elena continued, her voice carrying clearly through the suddenly attentive chamber, humanity doesn't have the biggest ships in the galaxy. We don't have the most advanced weapons. We can't manipulate gravity or bend space-time to our will. She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the assembled representatives. What we have is something else entirely, something that apparently none of your species have encountered before. Something that makes us very, very good at ending conflicts permanently. And what might that be? High Chancellor Vorth asked, though his tone had lost all traces of amusement. Elena's smile widened. Behind her, the 5 humans remained motionless, but somehow their presence seemed to fill the room. We never give up. Ever. When someone declares war on humanity, it doesn't end until we've won. Not until we've reached a favorable peace treaty. Not until we've gained concessions. Not until we've achieved our strategic objectives. It ends when we've won. Completely. Utterly. Finally. The silence stretched on. Several of the alien representatives were now studying their data pads, no doubt reviewing the human conflicts Elena had mentioned. Small wars, yes, but wars that had ended with the complete capitulation of humanity's opponents. Wars that had ended with former enemies becoming trading partners, allies, even protectorates under human oversight. The Proxima Rebellion, whispered Ambassador Sixtal. 57 worlds rose against human colonial authority. 57 worlds surrendered unconditionally within 2 years, Elena confirmed. They're now among our most prosperous partner systems. The Centauri incident, muttered Mist of Distant Stars. The hegemony declared a trade war would drive humans from the sector. The hegemony voluntarily dissolved itself and requested integration into human economic frameworks. Elena nodded. The mathematical reality was becoming clear to everyone in the chamber. Humans didn't just win their wars. They won them so thoroughly that their former enemies became willing participants in human society. High Chancellor Vorth's 6 arms had gone very still. What are you saying? Elena stepped back from the podium, her diplomatic smile never wavering. I'm saying that humanity has developed a very particular approach to conflict resolution, one that has proven effective. Now the Outer Rim War has been raging for over a century. Millions dead, entire systems devastated, and no end in sight. She gestured to her companions. These 5 individuals represent the combined human military and diplomatic corps. They're here to offer our mediation services to end this conflict. And if we refuse? Asked the Cathera delegate. Elena's smile didn't change, but something cold flickered behind her eyes. Then humanity will be forced to choose sides. And, based on our historical track record, I suspect that whoever we choose to support will achieve total victory within a very reasonable time frame. She let that hang in the air for a moment. Of course, we'd much prefer to mediate a peaceful resolution that benefits everyone involved. It's so much more civilized, don't you think? The vote to accept human mediation was unanimous. As the session adjourned, High Chancellor Vorth approached Elena privately. Tell me truthfully, he said quietly, what makes humans so effective in warfare? Elena considered the question seriously. We approach war the same way we approach everything else, as a problem to be solved permanently. When other species fight, they fight until they achieve their immediate objectives, or until the cost becomes too high, or until a convenient peace presents itself. She looked at the 5 humans who were now standing, preparing to begin their work. Humans fight until there's nothing left to fight about. We don't stop until the underlying causes of the conflict are resolved, usually by making our former enemies so dependent on our systems that war becomes literally unthinkable. Vorth stared at her. That's terrifying. Elena nodded cheerfully. Yes, it is. Fortunately, we much prefer diplomacy. It's so much more efficient. As she walked away, Vorth realized he had just witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. A successful diplomatic negotiation backed by the most polite threat he had ever heard. The Outer Rim War would end within 6 months. The combatants would spend the next decade wondering how humanity had convinced them that peace was their own idea.